The last 40 years or so have seen the rise and fall of the megachurch movement, mainly in the US, but Australia has made our contribution in the Hillsong phenomenon. Here in 2024, our focus tends to be on the faults and the failures, the abuses of spiritual power and misuse of finance. You've probably seen some of the documentaries. Us Anglicans who felt so small and inadequate as we watched the rise of those churches might now be tempted to feel smug as we watch their fall. But just for a moment, I ask you to imagine what you might have done if you had had the opportunity to be part of one of those churches as it was just getting started. Imagine coming to church one Sunday and worshipping with about 30 other people. Now, I know you can imagine that, but imagine that the next week there are 60, and the week after there are 200. Imagine after a few months having to find a bigger worship space and then an even bigger one a year later. Imagine a growing budget that allows for high quality marketing that attracts even more and more people. Imagine that budget also supports effective mission activities that make a significant difference to the lives of vulnerable people locally and internationally. Imagine soon being able to plant sister churches in all Australian states and then in regional cities as well. Imagine reading the news and finding your pastor's name mentioned approvingly all over the place. And, with maybe a bit of controversy, but just enough to get conversations started. Imagine all that and tell me that you would not become intoxicated by all that success. Now, maybe some of you would hate it, but most of us would just love to be part of a movement with so much energy and optimism, so much hope that this community that we are part of really can change the world. And once you've imagined that, I think you can imagine how it might have felt to be Simon Peter, the leader of a new world-changing movement, has called you to be in on the ground floor of his mission. You are the very first to be invited in. What an opportunity. Sure, it's going to require a bit of hard work and sacrifice at first, but you're up for it. And you're sure that it will pay off big time in the end. You go along to a gathering to hear this guy preach. Wow. So powerful, so new, so fresh. And then some demon-possessed guy starts shouting about Jesus being the Holy One of God. Huge wow. Now, Jesus shuts him up, which may or may not have been a good marketing move, but then he exorcises that demon right there, and then no fuss, no ceremony, just come out of him and suddenly the man is fine. Well, you are struggling to take all this in as you head home. But when you get there, your wife tells you that her mum is dangerously ill. Now, there's no antibiotics here, no Panadol, not much at all that you can do with a high fever other than wait to see whether the patient recovers or dies. Now, this brings you down to earth. Your wife's father died a little while back, and your wife relies so much on her mum, and you've come to rely on her too since she's moved in. Now, so you give Jesus the news, and he marches straight over to the bed, takes her by the hand, and suddenly she's fine. Suddenly, she's making you lunch. Well, who could blame you for slipping out and telling all your friends what had happened, even though it was the Sabbath? And anyway, they'd already heard what happened at the synagogue. So, once Sabbath is over, all of the sick and wounded people from all over the city are wheeled or carried in by their friends and family until the streets outside your house are completely chockers. Now, this is big. This is phenomenal. And you are right there in the middle of it, part of it, right from the beginning. So many people go home healed that night. There's a party in every house in the city. This is it. This is the point where everything changes. All of history hinges on this time, this place. Things have been pretty grim until now, but it all turns around right here. Well, you're not sure how you got to sleep after all that excitement, but as soon as you wake up, you start looking for Jesus. What will he do today? What bigger and better things will this day bring? From here, it won't take long, well, to gather the sort of following that could take on the local Roman soldiers, and after taking Capernaum, who knows what we might achieve. You can hardly contain your excitement. But where is Jesus? You ask everyone, nobody knows. What if in all those crowds last night, he was talking to a lot of people, well, what if he found someone else he would prefer to work with and has gone off and left you behind, left you out? Or what if he's been taken by force? What if he is locked up right now in somebody's basement where they're trying to get him to use his power for their benefit? Or what if the Roman soldiers heard about the commotion last night and came and arrested him? Or worse, your blood runs cold for a moment, and then you move into action. You gather the people you really trust. You tell them to take weapons with them, because who knows what they might find. You divide and you make a thorough search. By mid-morning, someone spots him, and you approach him with relief. He is safe. He is unconcerned. He is, he is praying at a time like this. Don't you know that everyone's looking for you? Everyone wants you. Everyone needs you. We have work to do. We are changing the world here. We can't have you wandering off on your own to pray. Is that a little laugh Jesus is trying to suppress there? Or is it, oh, it couldn't be pity, could it? Peter, it's time for us to leave Capernaum, he says. We're going to the next town and announce the kingdom of God everywhere, not just here. Okay, well, you can, there is a little word there that you can hold on to, and that is the word us. Jesus does still want you with him. He's not abandoning you. That's good. That's a start. But he's going about this all the wrong way. We should be consolidating our success here in Capernaum before moving on. If we keep moving, we'll spread ourselves too thin and the whole thing will collapse. So you have a choice. Do you keep following Jesus, even though you now know he has his own agenda and will not be taking orders from you? Even though you now know that his power is not there for you to wield. Even though his influence cannot be used to achieve your goals, even your highest and best and wisest goals. Will you still follow him? It was all new and exciting at first, but now you see it's going to be hard. Who knows how hard? You still hope it will be worth it in the end, but now you've got no idea what that end is going to look like. This guy cannot be manipulated or controlled. There is no telling what he might do. Are you still in? Will you still follow him under those conditions? Well, we know Peter did keep following him. And we know there were a lot more bumps in the road for Peter, a lot more lessons to learn. And what about you? As you, not as Peter anymore. Will you keep following Jesus even when he does not give you what you think you need? Even when you discover that his agenda is so much bigger than yours, and you're no longer sure where you fit in with his plans, with such big plans. Lots of people start following Jesus because they think Jesus will further their agenda. They might not put it that way. I think they would never put it that way. But at the start of the Christian journey, often there's a focus on our own needs. For healing, for inner peace, for a clear conscience, for adventure, for meaning. All good things. And if those are the things that bring you to Jesus, then that's great. But at some point on our journey with Jesus, we will be called to let go of all of those things. At some point, we make the shocking discovery that Jesus cannot be manipulated, cannot be controlled. We make fabulous plans, don't we? I know I do. Very wise plans, very compassionate plans. But we can never assume that Jesus is going to endorse our plans. And so we are stopped in our tracks, like Peter was, and forced to make a choice. A Capernaum decision. Will I hold on to my own agenda and leave Jesus to go his own way? Or will I keep believing and stake my life on this belief that Jesus' plans may be different from mine, but they're better. He has even better plans than I do. And so sticking with him, doing things his way, well, that's going to be the right choice, even if it feels like complete foolishness in the moment. Even if it looks like complete failure in the moment. The hundreds of thousands of people involved with mega churches have faced that choice. And we can have compassion for them, can we not? A lot of the razzmatazz that drew them to Christ is just gone. Their plans and expectations have evaporated. Some of the people who taught them the most have lost all credibility. When all that's left is Jesus enough? I'm sure most of you have been through challenges like that. You've all had to make those Capernaum decisions. Stick to your plan or walk into the unknown with Jesus. And I'm sure you could name all of those things that you've left behind, the opportunities you abandoned in order to follow Jesus. And I'm sure that on a good day, you say with Paul in Philippians that those things are all complete garbage compared with the far greater glory of knowing Jesus, of walking with Jesus. But few of us manage to be like Paul every day. Today's passage from 1 Corinthians talks about being so detached from the things of this world that they have no influence on us. And that frees us from anxiety so we can follow Jesus with complete freedom. Well, that's wonderful. That is a great goal, but it can be a struggle. There can be daily Capernaum decisions to follow Jesus rather than our own agenda. And that's why it's good that we have Peter in our Bible as well as Paul. And as with Peter, we can hold on to that word us. We can be sure that although Jesus might do crazy things, we can never trust him not to do crazy things. He may well. Whatever he does, he will never abandon us. He will never say, I'm out of here, I've had enough. He will always say, let's go. I've got stuff to do and I want you with me. I want to work with you. I want you to be my partner in the work of the kingdom. And every time that happens, that's another opportunity to take a deep breath and say, yes, yes. That's not really what I wanted. That's not really what I would have chosen, but okay, I'm with you. Let's do this. Amen.